Is your debt causing you sleepless nights? Knock your debt out with Debt KO. And your debt won't be the only thing keeping you up at night. Debt KO. Free, impartial advice on all your debt.
This is something that comes along every now and then in generation, and it's special.
Razzavan for IFL TV in association with MTK Global. With me, I've got heavyweight sensation, Mr. FABIO WARDLEY. FABIO, happy Sunday. How are we?
Happy Sunday, mate. Happy Sunday. I'm all good. How are you? How's things?
I'm good. Busy as always. As you know, whenever there's a fight in the UK, we are pestering you via messages. Need to get you on the channel, etc.
It's all good. You're welcome to.
Appreciate
Always got
that.
time.
FABIO, we saw the return of Anthony Joshua yesterday after a year out of the ring. How did you assess his performance?
Good performance. Probably 7.5, 8 out of 10, something like that. Good. You saw the nice improvements that he's been making. The slow kind of, you're seeing him do that small, well, not small, but that slight adjustment, a slight change in his game plan now, and from the way he fights into not just the pure kind of big, powerful, I don't want to say brawler, but big puncher that's always looking for taking you out in as soon as the opportunity comes. You see him a bit more relaxed, a bit more comfortable, setting things up a bit more, working a bit more behind a jab, and just kind of honing in all of his boxing skills a bit more, becoming a bit more well-rounded. And it's nice to see that transition. And you got to see a bit more of it from when we first saw it with the second Ruiz fight. You got to see a bit more of it now, and how he's developed on a few of those things that he's worked with for some time. Like, he's been out of the ring for a year, so he's had a lot of time with it and been able to work on it, and it's good to see.
Like you said, he's been out of the ring over a year. The last time he was out was in Saudi Arabia, where he reclaimed his heavyweight title basically and beat Andy Ruiz. But do you feel like, did you see any ring rust in him?
Not really, no, to be fair. No, when you put it in that perspective, no, I didn't actually see particularly any ring rust. There was no bits where he didn't look sharp or he didn't look really on point. There's slight moments of fatigue and whatever else, but that just comes with it. So it was good to see, to be honest, that he seemed to just, like, all the way through, it stayed switched on. This is what I said, really, that in the build-up, obviously, there was a lot of the Tyson Fury talk, and I said that I think he's learned his lesson of underestimating, maybe taking it a bit easy, taking it off a bit, and I think he's got a bit of that fire back of he's got a point to prove, and he's got some things to do. He's still left in the division.
In that third round, when eventually PULEV turned his back, but prior to that, we saw Anthony Joshua go in all guns blazing, and in the past, sometimes he stays in the pocket just that bit too long, or he gasses himself out. We kind of didn't see that this time round.
No, you didn't. And I think that's obviously part of that development that they've been working on, is that the times where you've seen AJ get clipped or he's been most susceptible is when he's on the front foot, is when he's in the middle of those combinations and just letting his hands go. And then if he gets in there with someone who's quite good with a catch counter or quick to return, he was maybe in the wrong sometimes in the past for focusing too much on himself. It's all 100% my attack and not worried about any defense. And obviously that's where we've seen him come unstuck a few times. So I think you've seen him take a slight step back from that, be a bit more considerate about his work and about the punches he's putting forward.
Were you fearful, obviously, at the way we saw Kubrat Pulev trying to get into his head? They were facing it off for a good 5-6 minutes, back and forth. Different types of languages were being sent towards each other. Were you fearful that Kubrat might have just got into his head, and when he got into the ring, kind of that game plan would have gone out the window? Not completely, but he would have made it more into a brawl.
Obviously I'm pretty sure that was Pulev's intention. I don't think it worked at all, to be honest. Well, clearly it didn't. But even at the time, I was pretty comfortable in the sense that I think Joshua understands the game a lot now. He knows what it is. He knows what people are trying to do. He understands that it's not for show, but there's a reason behind it. There's a reason they're trying to do that to you, and there's an outcome they want from it. And all he needs to do is just not give them that, which I think he did well. So, yeah, I wasn't particularly worried at all. I think he was pretty sure it's going to come. Pulev's not the most normal guy about. He's a bit of it, like he's sitting in the build up and everything for the weeks. He's sometimes can be a bit off the cuff and a bit of a loose cannon. So you kind of knew that was coming, and Joshua would have known that was coming as well.
There were, however, other people that were thinking, this guy's 39 years of age, he's past his best, he hasn't fought anybody in the last couple of years. Yes, his only defeat was Vladimir Klitschko 6 years ago, or maybe something longer. But Kubrat showed that he had heart and he had a great chin, and probably other heavyweights would have probably not lasted as long as Pulev did.
Yeah, I think that's something that it stays with you forever, kind of thing. If you've got one of those kind of solid chins, your iron jaw, and just the will as well. It's not just about having a solid chin. You've got to have it, want it in you, the burn there to still, even if you get knocked down, to still get up. You still got to have that in you, and clearly that was all still there. He had to really be kind of flattened out for him to not get up, which was good. It's someone of that age, but he's obviously competed at a high level for a long time. So the skill is always there. It's just maybe opportunities wise and different issues and stuff outside the ring may have not have allowed him to compete at the full titles at the top level. But he's always been in that kind of top 10 mix for a good few years.
Obviously, the world now is going to be calling for Tyson Fury, Anthony Joshua. It's without doubt one of the biggest fights in the sport, without doubt. Both of them are champions. It'll be an undisputed clash. Does it happen though? There's a lot of people thinking that a few months ago you said 50-50 percentage was agreed for the first fight, 50-50. The second fight will be 60-40 to the winner. But there's a lot of comments being made by people in the media and just fighters and promoters that say, I'm not sure if this fight is as straightforward as people think.
I don't think it's straightforward. It will be very difficult to make. There's going to be a lot of barriers to overcome. But I do believe that both fighters want the fight, for starters, and that's 50% of it. I think is that they both want it, and then it's just obviously working out the finer details, the nitty gritties, and all of this. And don't get me wrong, I don't think it will be easy, and I think there may be a few times of delays or putting it off, and this person said this and this person said that. I think that's all bound to come, just because there's so many moving parts involved with this kind of fight. But I don't see boxing as a whole letting them not do it. I feel like it has to be done. There's no real reason why it shouldn't be. Obviously there's promotional issues and broadcaster issues and blah 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 blah, of course. But actually at its core, there's no real reason why it shouldn't be done. And I think that there is just what the reason it will get made is because eventually, once you go through them few months of it being back and forth and this person said that and whatever, it will eventually filter off and we will get to the core of it and we will get where we need to be. I don't think it'll be a smooth ride, but I think we'll get there.
To get in the ring, hopefully in 2021, who do you have edging that fight?
I've always edged it to Fury, and I probably still do. I've always, obviously, to me, styles make fights, and I've always said that with boxing and especially with Tyson Fury, he's just such a confusing fighter to be in the ring with. I think he poses a lot of questions that Joshua's not faced before, and sometimes when you see Joshua in uncomfortable circumstances, he can look a bit worried by them or a bit flustered in the situation and not immediately know what to do. He needs to take a round or two to figure it out. He needs to speak to Rob or whatever else. So someone like Fury, who poses you so many different questions on the fly and forces you to kind of think on your feet, maybe, I think will prove a bit of a problem for Joshua.
I know I spoke to you about 10 odd days ago, 12 days ago, but I remember speaking to you and you said you was going out to Sheffield the day after to spar Joshua. How was that experience for you and how did it go with the sparring? And are you going to say you saw Joshua as well?
No. No. It was good though, really good. It was a really nice guy, really polite, really engaging, was happy to just chill and talk to us and the sparring partners and whatever and just be like normal and comfortable around everyone. The sparring was good. I was impressed by a lot of different things from him, to be honest. Like I was saying earlier, the improvements he's been making, you can see him in sparring and stuff as well. He's a lot lighter on his feet, a lot more fluid with his movement. There's a nice little kind of bounce to his work, which is good to see for someone who was used to be very, very heavy, and still 17 and a bit stone isn't light either. So it's nice to see that kind of movement from a big guy, and is, as well as like he just seems a lot more comfortable with where he's at with boxing as a whole, and like he seems to be more focused on his game. He knows what he's doing, he knows how he's going to work and what he's going to do, and I can just see those little cues of things that he's really thinking in the ring now, which is obviously great to see.
Fabio, just want to ask a quick question. Obviously, you're not the biggest heavyweight yourself. Obviously, this new bridgerweight. Ever contemplated about going down to the bridgerweight and becoming probably the first ever bridgerweight WBC champion of the world? What's your reaction?
No, it doesn't.
Though? Because all those heavyweight belts are tied up with Joshua right now and Fury. Even if you were to go on a good run and fight the top level fighters, you probably won't get a title shot realistically end of 2022, 23 maybe, because Fury, Joshua might have 2 fights. You've got Usyk mandatory there and other mandatories that might pop up. So, but do you look at it, a bridgerweight, you could make the weight potentially? There's a world title there, or do you think it's just bogus?
I'm not against it. I don't think it's bogus. It just doesn't appeal to me. Like when I started out as a heavyweight. I've always been a heavyweight. And that is my goal. That's what I want to move towards. If I can't, in however many years, get the world heavyweight title, there's still a lot of other belts and things I can pick up along the way. And then maybe if I'm in a situation where I've been at the top level for a while and I've still not been able to fight for a belt, then possibly. But right now, I don't see it doesn't appeal to me. And also, I think especially that division needs a lot more time to kind of flesh itself out. For starters, for me, they need to get all the other governing bodies on board as well. I think it's a bit funny to say, yeah, I'm the world heavyweight, the world bridgerweight champion, but then if I move into the IBF, I'm nothing to no one. Then what am I? Like, it doesn't. To me, that doesn't make sense. So it needs to. I think the first big step for that division is all the governing bodies need to get on board with it, and it needs to be a kind of universal thing. And then it will become more. It'll have a bit more respect on its name, kind of thing, and then they can move forward with some different bits with it. But until kind of things like that happen, it just doesn't appeal to me right now.
We saw yesterday boxing royalty turned up to the fight. Floyd Mayweather was in attendance at Wembley Arena. Nice when you've got your own private jet, you can just pop in and pop out whenever you want. Is that on the agenda as well, Fabio? Private jet one day, maybe?
Yeah, maybe something like that. Just dip here, there, and everywhere whenever I feel like it. We'll stick that on the list. We'll get there eventually.
But good to see Floyd in Wembley yesterday.
Yeah, just good to see Floyd around boxing as always. For everything he is, he was such a massive part of the sport. Whether love him or hate him or whatever else, you can't deny what he's done, and you can't deny how much of an impact and how much he's helped the sport as a whole to grow it and bring it to wider audiences and all of that. So. Yeah, it's always just great to see Floyd around, and for him to come over and give us the kind of the nod, the appreciation to British boxing and to Joshua and stuff. Whereas I think sometimes American can kind of turn their nose up at us, and sometimes our fights and fighters and things like that, they kind of want to keep us separate. Where it's nice to see with Floyd, he wants to just be universal in that sense and inclusive and bring everyone in. And
finally, I know you fought in Fight Camp, you fought in the bubble as well. I believe, was it Wembley bubble? Yes, it was, yeah.
Yeah, Wembley.
So when you fought, you had no fans. Yesterday we saw the arrival of 1,000 fans. It sounded like 10,000 fans, but
yeah,
good to see fans back in the arena.
Oh, genuinely, it just like made me feel a bit like warm and fuzzy inside. Like I felt like that, like I said it would, to be fair, it felt like that first big step of like, there was like almost like a big sigh of almost relief of like, we're coming, like we're getting back, like it's happening, like we're getting there. So yeah, it was just so like I was buzzing to see like people in the arena and to hear some of the chants and to hear like the jeer, like even it's so small to see like when the fight gets a bit tasty in the middle and stuff, whenever people are kicking off, and then you can hear the crowd react to that like perfectly in cue, obviously on time and everything, and it's just nice to have that feeling back and get that in, and obviously Sweet Caroline. I was sat there on my sofa doing the wave with the arms, and I'm just getting involved. I was soaking up the moment for everything it was, but yeah, it's massive. It's massive for the sport, and obviously boxing's nothing without the fans. So it's that first big step, and hopefully in the new year we can get a few thousand more and just keep moving forward with it.
Yeah, absolutely. Fabio, thank you so much for your time this Sunday, my man. Also, just want to say quickly as well, I'm not sure if I'm going to get the opportunity to interview you again before 2020 concludes. Hopefully it concludes very quickly. We've had a horrid year with this COVID-19, but I appreciate all the time that you've given IFL throughout the whole year. Wish you and your family all the very best, and during this holiday season that's coming up, and hopefully big things to come up for you, the big things to come forward to you in 2021.
Yeah, definitely, mate. Thank you, mate. Appreciate that. You too.
FABIO WARDLEY, IFL TV. Thank you very much.
Cheers, Raz. Catch you in a bit, bud.
Comes along every now and then in generation, and it's special.
Is your debt causing you sleepless nights? Knock your debt out with Debt KO. And your debt won't be the only thing keeping you up at night. Debt KO, free impartial advice on all your debt.